feel really good about myself. I'll get in a swimsuit or go to a tantra meetup and be naked in a hot tub and be really happy. And then one morning I'll get up and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fat and ugly. How can I leave the house? It still comes back.
I contemplated doing this panel naked.
Oh,
That would be very distracting.
It's not okay.
Yeah, and there's a camera, so you know. Yeah, and there's some consent. Like you guys gotta consent to
Well, I
that.
have to tell you that for myself, I really learned how to be positive. And my life is all about positivity. I do not let negativity come into my life. When people write me scary emails that they're gonna kill me and I'm the devil and the Antichrist, and it just really makes me realize how important what I'm doing is, because I'm touching on something that people don't necessarily want to think about. So for me, that's a positive thing, and I don't react. Reacting is like the worst thing you can do, and because I believe that when you put out positivity, positivity comes back. It's really simple. I know it's all wingnutty and zen, but trust me, it works. And so that's how I live my life. And once I got to that level of really understanding that people really are attracted to what I have to say and who I am because of my positivity. If I was sitting up here all angry, no, I have a vagina, you have to be, you guys would just be like, hey.
He had nothing for us.
Yeah, what is that? And so that said, I don't really think I have many isms in my, okay, I have a little bit of body issues. You know, I have to go to the gym and build up my body, and that's kind of like my thing. I think that I have left over from, you know, this is what a man looks like, and I need to be very masculine. But I think other than that, I'm so okay with myself enough to, I will go to gyms all over the world and walk in the gym naked, the men's gym, and just, people don't know what to do, which is so powerful. It is incredibly powerful to just have my vagina out there in front of the world saying what? Just really, it's all about reclaiming yourself and loving. It's all about loving yourself. There will be isms in the world forever.
Yes.
Forever. The bottom line, it comes back to yourself, sir, and your own ism about your age. You're an amazing looking man. You seem like a cool person. It's not about your age, dude. You have something going on there with yourself that you just need to be like, whatever. She wasn't interested in you. Go to the next chick.
I mean,
I had no idea that you were on the panel.
I think it's also just coming off of that, Buck, is in that positivity, which I think is really important for people who are really weighed down with something, anything, but also looking for opportunities. Because when you react to something emotionally, the emotion's real, but what sparked it is probably not real, you know? So, I mean, for me, I was dating someone and we wanted to fuck outdoors. So we went to a swingers spa in Southern California, and I didn't even think about it, but I went to the door with him and I was all excited, and I went, oh wait, I'm 200 pounds and I'm gonna have to be naked. And I don't know why it didn't, because I guess I was with someone who just didn't see my body only, you know? And I went in there and I was shaking and I was so upset and so scared, and I just went, you know what, when am I gonna enjoy my life? You know, and I just took off my clothes, and the moment I did that, and I was like, yeah, here's my stomach. My stomach is going like this. And no one cared. I guarantee you. Everyone's worried about their own shit. No one cared. And it was the most freeing thing to have sex with my lover in front of people who were just, you know, with six packs, who normally I would have been just so intimidated in front of and didn't feel like I was worthy enough to do that.
Well, that's the cool thing about nudist communities.
Yeah.
Because nudist communities, not swinger communities, but nudist communities tend to have a larger percentage of people with normal bodies.
Yeah.
You know, or natural bodies. And it's kind of funny when, because I have a lot of friends in Tampa that has a very large nudist community down in that part of Florida, as well as the swinger community. And when the swinger community tries to go and do events at the nudist community, it's weird because they are not comfortable, because they're used to being exhibitionists, but it's a different kind of exhibitionism. And then they go to a nudist con and they're like, everybody's over 40. Everybody's like got 30, 40 pounds on them, but they're just super comfortable just walking around naked. Whereas the swingers seem to be like,
Also, even if you fake it till you make it, so inside you're going, oh my god, but what if I look at you, I'm saying, damn, she's okay with her fine self. Hi, what's your name? So if I
Not always.
When I learned how to be a stripper, I realized they can't read your mind.
Right.
And so you smile
Right.
and go out there and act confident. People go, she's confident.
And also, if you're not feeling confident, you can't really fake it because you know it up here.
The posture
So
and smile,
the
and
posture,
people can't read it.
you can do all of that, but I think when you look in the mirror, there will be gurus around who will say you're beautiful. I'm beautiful.
yeah.
I just want to smack them. I don't feel beautiful. Don't tell me what to feel. But
Tell
I'll
me
tell
what to
you.
say.
I'll tell you what I will do. What I will tell people to do is look in the mirror and just say, if you can't say anything good, just say something neutral. My mother said I like nail beds. I don't have a zit today. Yeah. I'm clean. Anything that's neutral, because you will make yourself laugh.
No, you're a dirty,
And it's
dirty
true.
girl.
You can't see that because that's
Like
my mom.
you can't help the porn people. It just has to come out.
No, but this is the thing with like public performers. We have to put on such a positive face all the time, and so many of us actually do have insecurities. Sure, 80% of the time I'm gonna be like, yay, fat girls. But 20% of the time when there's like that hiccup that happens, when something goes awry, like with work or whatever, then all of those insecurities come tumbling down the hill. And so it's just very important to know that if you do have a day or a few hours where you're feeling down about yourself and you want to do nothing but cut yourself down, just to walk away, and not let other people feed into that.
It's really great to have a support group when I have friends that I can call and say, I'm having a small day. Can you remind me of a couple things that are good about me? There's a lot of different things you can build into your system so that, okay, I'm having a bad day. One thing I love is also to look in the mirror, and we talked about this before, just find one part of my body I like the back of my hand, the skin's kind of smooth, and be present with that. And I had to grow it from just like the back of my hand, and then gradually, okay, so my eyes don't really suck. And, and I gradually, it was a process over a couple years to start loving my body more. But we can have a lot of those systems in place.
I also learned to deal with things. A lot of times people say, oh, well, it's in your head how people are thinking about you. But sometimes you will have to deal with people that are thinking about you. I remember there was like an after party at the New York swinger community, and my friend really wanted me to go. And I was very embarrassed to say, they don't let bigger people into this particular club's events. I'm not allowed to go. And it was hard for me to have to say that out loud because it's something that's very embarrassing. Because you're basically saying these group of people don't think I'm good enough. And then it was also embarrassing for my friend who only wanted to go if somebody else could go with her. So now I felt like, oh, I'm a killjoy because I'm the fat girl. But what I do in those types of situations, I try to remind myself that, there's still work to do in the world to make it better. So while it would be perfect in an ideal world that I could go to the swing party, chill, and do whatever, not yet. And I always look at myself and I always remind myself that I'm a sexual subject, not a sexual object, and I have agency and power. So while that one club could say, oh, we don't think you're good enough, I also don't think that a club that's exclusionary is good enough for me.
Yeah, I'm very against self-segregation, especially with the plus size communities. There's a tendency to have plus size clubs and plus size this and plus size that, and I have a tendency to go, I want to do anything but that. I'd much rather go where there are people of all sorts of shapes and sizes and colors, and but at the same time, when there is a group that says no, you're not invited, that just gives me creative license to just go make my own.
Yeah.
Create your own. Because there's always going to be other people who are like me.
So that was actually a great lead into this question I wanted to ask. So, two of you spoke about education and modeling being needed for change, absolutely. But then there's also on the other side of that, should folks that are fraught with isms or in marginalized communities be responsible for having to educate folks? And I don't think they should be. So what can allies do, whether it's white allies or straight allies or cis allies or skinny allies or whatever you want to call it?
Well, an ally.
Like what does that look
listen.
like around sexual and I think we can talk about overall racism and overall sizeism, but what does that look like as far as sexual freedom?
Well, I think it's very similar overall. Like, it being ally is listening. Like, I kind of am very annoyed with like the Tumblr generation, collectivism. Everybody's a social justice warrior, but nobody's actually doing anything. And I kind of feel like you could parrot the same talking points that make you an ally, but if you're not actually listening to the people in the community, and if you're not reacting to what we have to say, like, it annoys me when I'll be talking to somebody and I'll talk about like colorism and they'll stop me and go, oh, well, you're not that dark, or you're not like that. It's like, no, this is something I'm dealing with. I like, especially because, you know, mixed race women aren't supposed to actually look black. I'm supposed to be a geisha dipped in tea, like look black, and I'm black looking. So that is something I'm dealing with, and when somebody wants to be my ally, I want them to listen to me. I don't want them to say, oh, well, I know your issues, so let me tell you a thing about your life.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. And also, I kind of feel like you can pick your battles. I started a new job, which is very weird for me because it's a very vanilla job. And they're greeting me and we're all talking, and it just came to, they're talking about my resume, like, oh, she speaks Korean. That is so weird. And it kind of was hurtful because I guess I just didn't put two and two together. It's like, yeah, I speak Korean. Like, some of the people of my family do. And while I think maybe a younger me would have made a scene and be like, well, why the hell shouldn't I? But it's just kind of, I assume that, you know, this person probably was thinking of it, and I'm just going to let it go, not light up this boardroom. So I think it's knowing your battles, and when you do have you're going to make your stand, be able to articulate your point, not like a dagger where you're accusing somebody, where it's like, you are a bad person because you said X, Y, and Z, and you must now believe this because that's what you said. But explain to them why, oh, well, when you say it's strange that I speak Korean, it makes me feel bad as a mixed race woman because I'm feeling marginalized, and I feel you should talk about, you know, how you feel.
Yeah, if you respond to shame with more shame, or anger with more anger, everything just spirals downhill. So if somebody comes at you, and like, anger is so weird in activism to me, because I see a lot of that with people who are very, very rah, sticks and fire, and rah, you know, we're gonna go burn down. And I was like, that doesn't help acceptance at all.
It was
You
kind
know,
of like the Exotica thing, where like people were. I guess you should tell what happened, or do you want me to tell what happened?
Cool.
Basically, Exotica has these awards, and for different performers. And for the BBW performer, it was called Hungry Hungry Hottie.
And I thought it was totally fine.
It's totally fine.
It was funny.
I mean,
Because I'm hungry. I'm a hottie. You
It's
know, I could be
porn.
hungry for penises. You know, I mean, there's like, you could spin everything in a positive way, but the BBW community really was like, rah, hungry, hippo,
That was probably
angry
Courtney
fat
Trouble.
women.
That
You
was
know,
probably Courtney Trouble,
Well,
because she likes to do that.
But it was a bunch of other people too, and
I mean, I didn't like
and
it.
so
but
when I luckily won, they changed the award to Whole Lot of Love, which I was like,
Which
well,
is
that's
just-
not hot at all. That just makes me want to cuddle and not fuck. So cuddling is fine,
So
but
ridiculous.
but it's not the same thing. And so when I went up on stage, I was like, I really would like to accept this the Hungry Hottie Award. So yeah.
But there's a different way, like I said, I didn't particularly like the Hungry Hungry Hottie because, well, there's a bunch of categories in that I was kind of like, like they had a hottest not white chick instead of.
It was a very Exotica is a very tongue-in-cheek, no pun intended, fan-based convention.
For
It's
porn.
not about education. It's a porn fan event, and so they had, you know, best non-white chick, that was the ethnic award, and they had Who's Your Mommy was the MILF award.
Oh, brilliant.
And T.S. I Love You was the trans award. You know, so it was like, if you look at the bigger picture, you realize that they were just being tongue-in-cheek with everybody. you
it's
know, and
corny.
they weren't meaning
I have a movie
to
called
be-
Buck's Beaver.
Yes.
So in that case, it might be really
It's-
good to ask people how they want to be supported, or if they
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
need support.
And if
around
you disagree,
something.
you could disagree civilly. Like we were talking on Twitter, like why you weren't bothered by it, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, I kind of wish. I was actually more mad at the not white chick one, but but I was just talking about like they could have maybe done it a different way that would make the performers want to be like part of it, because it wasn't just that people were saying, oh, I don't like the name. Like performers like don't nominate me for this. I don't
Yeah,
want
the
to
don't
BBWs
win.
were like, I'm boycotting this, and I was
Oh.
like, but
You're
you've been
only
spending
hurting the
so
community.
right. You've been spending so many years
Yes, it's
asking
so
for
stupid.
the mainstream porn community to accept you guys and
Right.
have a BBW award, because we haven't had a plus size award category
Right.
ever, except for Urban X, which is the ethnic award show.
Right.
And so I was like, why don't you just say that? Why don't you celebrate the fact that we even have one? You know, and but you and I were able to go, okay, well, we have differences, and that was
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, but
Instead
her
of getting